Have you ever wondered why sometimes we feel trapped in a cycle of shame and guilt? It's a question that echoes in the minds of many, a silent symphony that plays in the backdrop of our lives. Shame and guilt are two emotions that are deeply woven into our societal fabric. They are the invisible weights that we carry, often without realizing their profound impact on our mental well-being. These feelings are pervasive and they manifest in countless ways. Perhaps it's the guilt of not living up to the expectations set by others, or the shame of failing to meet our own standards. Maybe it's the remorse that creeps in when we make a mistake, or the embarrassment we feel when we believe we've let someone down. These emotions are not only universal, but they're also incredibly potent, with the power to shape our perceptions, influence our decisions, and dictate the course of our lives. But what if we told you there's a way to navigate through this emotional labyrinth, a way to unmask these feelings, to understand them, and ultimately, to overcome them? This is where the groundbreaking work of Dr. Brené Brown comes into play. Dr. Brown, a research professor at the University of Houston, has spent the better part of 2 decades studying emotions and experiences that define the human condition, including shame and guilt. Her work has not only shed light on these complex emotions, but has also offered valuable insights into how we can confront and conquer them. In her words, shame corrodes the very part of us that believes we are capable of change. It's a powerful statement that underscores the destructive nature of shame, while also highlighting the need to address it head-on. So, let's embark on this journey together. A journey to understand the intricacies of shame and guilt, and to learn how we can break free from their grasp. Because, as Dr. Brown reminds us, we are all worthy of love and belonging, and shame and guilt should never stand in the way of that truth. But there's a way out of this cycle, a path that has been illuminated by Dr. Brené Brown. Consider the story of Jane Doe, a woman who was once ensnared by feelings of shame and guilt. Jane was like so many of us. She carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. Every misstep, every mistake, they all seemed to add another layer to the heavy shroud of guilt and shame that she bore. For years, Jane was trapped in a prison of her own making, a prison forged from the chains of shame and guilt. These feelings were so deeply ingrained in her psyche that they affected every aspect of her life. They tainted her relationships, causing her to push away those who loved her, and they distorted her self-perception, preventing her from recognizing her own worth. Jane's struggle was largely internal, a silent battle that raged within her, but its effects were profoundly visible in her life. She was successful in her career, a high-achieving professional woman, yet she felt as though she was never good enough. She was a loving mother, yet she felt as though she was failing her children. She was a devoted friend, yet she felt as though she was a burden to those around her. Jane's life was a constant juggling act, a relentless effort to keep all the balls in the air. But the weight of shame and guilt made each ball heavier, each juggle more difficult. And no matter how hard she tried, she could never shake the feeling that she was on the brink of dropping them all. But what Jane didn't realize was that she was not alone in her struggle. So many of us wrestle with these same feelings, these same fears. We all carry our own burdens, our own guilt and shame. But like Jane, we often fail to recognize the universality of our struggle. We see our guilt and shame as personal failings rather than as part of the shared human experience. But Jane's story doesn't end there because she discovered the teachings of Dr. Brené Brown. Jane began to realize that she could break free from the chains of shame and guilt, that she could redefine her self-perception, and that she could start living a life free from the weight of her own expectations. And in the following scenes, we will explore just how she managed to do that. With Dr. Brené Brown's teachings, Jane began a journey to overcome her feelings of shame and guilt. Jane, like many of us, found herself entangled in a web of self-doubt and self-criticism. But as she delved into Dr. Brown's work, she realized that she had the power to break free. She understood that her shame was not a life sentence, but a call to action, a call to change. She started by acknowledging her feelings of shame and guilt, rather than denying or suppressing them. This was her first step towards healing. It wasn't easy, and there were moments of struggle. But Jane was determined. She allowed herself to be vulnerable, to feel the discomfort, and to face her fears. Jane also learned to practice self-compassion, a key teaching of Dr. Brown. She began to treat herself with the same kindness and understanding she would show to a dear friend. She learned to embrace her imperfections, to see them not as flaws but as unique facets of her identity. Dr. Brown's teachings also taught Jane the importance of setting boundaries. She realized that she had been overextending herself, always putting others before herself. She learned to say no, to prioritize her own needs and wants. This was a difficult change, but a necessary one. Throughout her journey, Jane experienced victories, big and small. She noticed a shift in her mindset, a newfound confidence. She started to believe in herself and her worth. She began to see failures not as proof of her inadequacy, but as opportunities to learn and grow. And most importantly, Jane learned to let go of the shame and guilt that had been holding her back. She replaced it with self-love and acceptance. She realized that she was not defined by her mistakes or her past, but by her strength and resilience. Jane's transformation didn't happen overnight. It was a process, a journey. But with each step, she grew stronger, more self-assured. She proved to herself that she was capable of change, of growth, of overcoming. Jane's transformation is a testament to the power of Dr. Brené Brown's teachings. What were these teachings that helped Jane transform her life? Dr. Brené Brown, a renowned researcher and storyteller, has spent years studying emotions and vulnerability. Her work has uncovered several key teachings that can help us transform our own lives, just like Jane. Firstly, Brown emphasizes the importance of embracing vulnerability. She posits that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but rather a testament to courage. It's about having the bravery to show up and be seen, even when we have no control over the outcome. It's about risk, uncertainty, and emotional exposure. By accepting our vulnerability, we can overcome shame and guilt, opening ourselves to experiences that bring purpose and meaning to our lives. Next, Brown's work underscores the significance of empathy. Empathy, as she describes it, is feeling with people. It is a powerful tool that fuels connection, allowing us to see the world from another's perspective and to understand their feelings. Empathy is an antidote to shame. It creates a sense of belonging and acceptance that counteracts the isolation and disconnection that shame often engenders. Lastly, self-compassion is a recurring theme in Brown's teachings. She defines self-compassion as treating ourselves with the same kindness, care, and understanding that we would offer to others. When we experience feelings of shame or guilt, it's easy to fall into a pattern of self-criticism. However, Brown suggests that we should instead respond with self-compassion, acknowledging our imperfect humanity and offering ourselves grace in the face of failure or mistake. These teachings by Dr. Brené Brown, embracing vulnerability, practicing empathy, and exercising self-compassion, are integral in overcoming feelings of shame and guilt. They present a transformative approach to self-perception and interpersonal relations, fostering courage, connection, and self-kindness. These teachings aren't just for Jane, they're for anyone struggling with feelings of shame and guilt. Imagine what life could be like if we could all overcome our feelings of shame and guilt. As we've seen through Jane's journey, these feelings of guilt and shame are not only common, but they can be incredibly limiting. They hold us back, keep us stuck, and make us feel as though we are not enough. But what happens when we overcome these feelings? What happens when we put shame and guilt in their place, not as our masters, but as our teachers? When we overcome shame and guilt, we unlock a whole new realm of possibilities. We step into our power, into our worthiness. We start to see ourselves not as flawed, but as human. We start to understand that it's okay to make mistakes, that it's okay to be imperfect. Jane's life is a testament to this. She was once paralyzed by feelings of guilt and shame, but now she stands tall, unashamed of her past and unafraid of her future. She has embraced her imperfections, her setbacks, and her struggles, and she has used them to fuel her growth. Overcoming shame and guilt doesn't mean that we won't ever feel these emotions again. They are a part of our human experience, but by overcoming them, we learn to navigate these feelings in a healthier way. We learn to separate our actions from our self-worth. We learn to forgive ourselves and to extend the same compassion to ourselves that we offer to others. Imagine a world where we all felt self-assured and unapologetic for being our authentic selves. Imagine a world where we all felt worthy and deserving of love, success, and happiness. This is the power of overcoming shame and guilt. It's a power that we all have within us. It's a power that can transform our lives. With Dr. Brené Brown's teachings, we can all strive to overcome our feelings of shame and guilt and live a more fulfilling life.